are virtual. We're taking questions from people here in person, but also from Facebook. So if you're watching from Facebook, please put your questions in the comment section, and Kimberly is going to read them off for our speaker so we can get your questions answered. And if you're here, just raise your hand. The speaker will repeat the question so everyone can hear it, and hopefully we can answer all of the questions that you have. So without further ado, I want to introduce Tracy, his last name I'm totally forgetting, Petersen, from Affordable Housing Partnership, who's going to talk about some of the programs that they have. All right. Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you. Wow. Applause. Thank you so much for having Affordable Housing Partnership here. I'm also here representing the Home Save Coalition, which is a coalition of housing counseling agencies and not-for-profit legal entities that are in your area to assist you. We are funded in part by New York State, by the federal government, by the city of Albany, the city, town of Colony. And I'd just like to ask you to hold your questions to the end of the presentation. I'm sure there's going to be a lot. Our coalition is made up of HUD Approved housing counseling agencies. What that means to you is that a HUD Approved housing counseling agency offers foreclosure prevention counseling free of charge. We're highly trained. We have to pass a certification in order to be a counselor, and our job is to help you find your way through avoiding foreclosure, however that might look for you, and realistically what we can help you achieve. Let's talk about mortgages in forbearance. Because of the COVID-19 pandemic, many mortgages have been put in what's called a forbearance, which is sort of like a pause. You're still required to make payments. However, your payments could be delayed until a certain period of time, in which case those payments that have accrued will come due. What type of mortgage you have is going to determine how long you've been in forbearance, and we'll take a deeper dive into that in a couple of minutes. The not-for-profit housing agencies and the legal services members of the Home Save Coalition are available to help you review where you are financially, to help you figure out what your options are, and assist you to try and get to your goal, whether it's to save your home or you want to run away from your home like your hair is on fire. So what do you do if you've fallen behind with your mortgage or you find yourself at the end of a forbearance? Well, the first thing you want to do is contact your servicer. That is the entity that collects the payments from you, to find out what your options are, because they're going to vary dependent upon what kind of mortgage you have. You want to explore the potentials for resolving the problem yourself. If you're able to bring your mortgage current, yay, you've done it. And then you just resume your payments. But if you're not able to resume your payments, or you're not able to bring all of the arrears current after you come out of a forbearance, that becomes a little bit more trickier. You can contact a certified housing counseling agency, and again, we are here to assess where you are financially and help you figure out what your options are. You can also seek free legal assistance through either legal aid or legal project. They are highly trained staff, has foreclosure prevention attorneys on staff that can assist you with the legal matters if you happen to have been served with a summons and complaint. You also want to consider protecting yourself from scams. There are a lot of scammers out there that will tell you we can automatically get you a modification on your loan. We can help you by you signing over the title to your deed. Before you do anything like that, speak to someone like your lender, or speak to someone that is partnered with a HUD Approved housing counseling agency. We have no skin in the game. We don't charge fees. So all you're going to get is solid advice, so you have the information you need to make some important decisions. Because let's face it, with most people, your house is your biggest asset. So you need information in order to make decisions moving forward. The foreclosure moratoriums. Moratoriums are where a lender puts what you call a pause on your mortgage payments. It doesn't mean that the payments go away into the ether, because they don't. They accrue from the point that you enter a forbearance until you end it. So the moratoriums that I'm talking about are what the government has put in place to allow a pause to happen so that you don't face foreclosure right away. And again, what type of mortgage you have depends on how long the moratorium will be. The duration of a moratorium for Federal Housing Administration or FHA loans, also known as HUD loans or USDA or VA, will end June 30th. What that means is the lender will be able to either initiate a foreclosure action against you if you're unable to bring your mortgage current, or they can continue a foreclosure action if you're unable to bring your mortgage current. And you have already been sued prior to March of 2020. Loans that are serviced by Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac, their moratoriums are going to end June 30th. In either case, if you have not been able to resolve your situation, you can always go back to your lender and see if you can get another forbearance to give you a little bit more time. Because let's face it, recovering from COVID is not as fast as getting a shot. It's going to take time to recoup and recover, get your income back in place so you can start making those payments. Any non-federally backed loan is covered by New York state law. And the state has extended foreclosure moratoriums up until August 31st. If you file what's called a hardship declaration, that may get you more time. The hardship declaration should be the next slide. And you're basically telling either your lender or the court that you've been affected by COVID-19. It's reduced your income, it's impacted your ability to have a job, it's impacted your ability to afford life as you used to know it before COVID-19 hit, because your expenses have increased. And as a result, you can delay the foreclosure process a little bit longer to give you more time to recoup. Now, exactly what does a HUD advisor do? Besides spinning around in my desk all day? It's a lot. Advisors like me are neutral third parties. So we act as a trusted advisor between you and your lender to try and gather the information that the lender may need to make an informed decision on how they can help you. We'll analyze where you are financially, figure out what your options are, and if the option means that we need to help you apply for an additional forbearance or modification, and we'll talk about the options in a minute, we assist you with that. So when it gets to the lender knows that that packet has been delivered correctly. Sometimes the lenders are willing to work with a third party, like a HUD Approved housing counseling agency, because again, we're highly trained. I personally have been doing this over 20 years, even though I look about 21. But yeah, it's possible to find the option that's going to work best for you. And the best part is that our services are free and they're confidential. Pretty much the only person I'm going to talk to is you and your lender, or any other creditor that you give me authorization to speak to. So let's talk about retention options. These are the options that allow you to retain your home. First and foremost, I keep saying forbearance. A forbearance agreement is where a lender allows you to delay payments for a specific period of time. If you're in a forbearance now, you may have noticed that every 3 to 6 months, you may have had to contact your lender back to let them know what your status is. What the lender has done is they've said, okay, for a specific period of time, you don't have to make payments to us. We're not going to waive those payments. They're going to come due eventually, but at some point in the future. This will give you time to reset your income, to reduce your expenses, or increase your income, whatever you need to do in order to get back on track. At the end of a forbearance, all of the payments that the lender delayed or deferred are going to come due. If you can pay it in a lump sum, great. If you can't, the lender and you will talk about other options. That includes maybe a repayment plan, where you make your normal mortgage payment plus a little extra to bring your mortgage loan current over a period of time. Generally, repayment plans are very short term, maybe 6 to 8 months, but the lenders are working very hard to come up with plans that are going to fit the needs of the so many millions of people who've been impacted by COVID-19. Reinstatement, that's simply where you have the lump sum to bring all of your payments current, and you do so, and then you resume your normal payments after that. A loan modification is a change to the terms of your loan. The lender, in most cases, will look at it in increasing the term of your loan so the maturity date is extended out. They may reduce your rate, but make no mistake, a loan modification is not a loan refinance. A loan refinance is where you take out a new loan, pay off your existing loan, and now you're off on your way and you don't have to worry about your mortgage lender. You've got a new loan at a new rate with a new term. Modification does something very similar to that, but there's no new money in place. You still owe everything that you owed to your lender before. And not every lender in a modification is going to reduce your rate. Not all lenders are able to extend the term, but they may decide to defer a portion of your mortgage to a later date where you pay off at a lump sum when you hit that maturity date or the end of your loan. And again, deferral is what most people are experiencing now if you are already in a forbearance. A lot of lenders are, when you're coming out of the forbearance, they may simply take that lump sum and defer it to the end of the loan. Generally, when it's deferred to the end of the loan, it's done so without it accruing any more interest. So it's just a little lump sum that sits out there, so if you sell your house or you refinance your loan or you get to the maturity date of your loan, that lump sum comes due. And there's usually no restrictions on paying it if you wanted to. Non-retention options. These are options where you don't want the house or you can no longer afford to keep the house. If your home is worth less than you owe on it and you want to sell it, that is called a short sale. You can only sell your house for as much as the market will bear, and sometimes values decrease. In this area, we're in a really weird market where people are actually bidding on houses, but that's not normal. So in a short sale, you put your house on the market for its fair market value. Hopefully you attract a buyer. The buyer is going to offer you what market value is. Unfortunately, the most they could pay for the house at its market value is less than what you owe. In that instance, you're going to go back to the lender once you have a buyer under contract and request that the lender allow you to proceed with the sale of the home. And generally, if the lenders agree, they may write off the difference between what you owed and what the house was worth. That does create a tax consequence for you. So if you find yourself in a short sale, you do want to talk to an accountant about how that difference will impact your taxes. A deed in lieu of foreclosure is where you transfer title back to your lender and say, I'm done. Please take this house. Do with it what you will. The lender in that case, again, will look at the value of the house versus what you owe them. There may be a tax consequence if what you owe exceeds the value of the home. The lender usually waives their right to seek a deficiency judgment against you, which is that difference between what you owe them and what the house was worth. And then again, you move out and go on your merry little way. Cash for keys is where you agree to vacate the home, but in this case, the lender agrees to give you money to vacate the house. There is a caveat to that. You've got to leave the house in broom swept clean condition. That means you cannot take the doors, you cannot take the doorknobs, you cannot take the cabinets, you cannot take everything out of the house and leave it a shell. You've got to leave the house in as good a condition as you can. These options, again, do have tax consequences to them in some cases. So if you find yourself in a position where the house is not worth as much as you owe, you should talk with a tax professional. Here are the numbers for the agencies that are in your area. I work for Affordable Housing Partnership, or AHP, Homeownership Center. There's also Albany County Rural Housing, Better Community Neighborhoods, TRIP, which stands for Troy Rehabilitation Improvement Program. All 4 of these agencies cover all 11 counties of the capital region. Our reach extends from Columbia County all the way up north to Essex County. If you're anywhere within the sound of my voice and in New York State, there are other agencies throughout New York State that can help you that are HUD approved. Legal entities in this area include the Legal Aid Society of Northeastern New York and Legal Project, and there is someone from Legal Project here today to talk to you about the legal aspects of this. Questions? Okay, if questions come up later, I'll still be here. Thank you very much. Oh my God.
Thank you so much, Tracy. That was lovely.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to take a pause for just a moment while our next speaker arrives. She's going to be coming to us via Zoom. So we're going to pause for a second, get our AV switched over, and then we'll get started in just a minute or so. Thank you.